Coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios, this is Prime News on SABC 3. Here are the top stories making headlines.
The criminal justice system has been subject to a continuous threat, as well as sabotage.
KwaZulu-Natal top cop Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has cautioned of the collapse of South Africa's criminal justice system if there is no intervention.
His release would endanger the safety and the security of the complainants and the wider community.
Businessman Vusimuzi Matlala has been denied bail as he's considered a flight risk and will be danger to the public if released.
If they want to approach court, they can approach court. But for me, it's sad, instead of investing more time in trying to find a solution.
And the Western Cape government says a taxi organization, Codeta, should focus its time and resources on finding solutions to prevent violence in the taxi industry, rather than approach the courts to stop the closures of certain taxi routes in Cape Town. At the back of those headlines, it has just gone 8 o'clock Central African time. A warm welcome to Prime News on 3. Great to be in your company this evening. I am Paulette. Now, let's get right into it, beginning with this. KwaZulu-Natal top police Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi has cautioned of the collapse of South Africa's criminal justice system if there is no intervention. Mkhwanazi took to the stand today on day one of the Madlanga Commission, which is tasked with probing allegations of criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system.
Subvert the criminal justice system, you subvert the rule of law.
These opening remarks by retired Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga marked the start of the hearings into allegations of criminality, political interference, and corruption in the criminal justice system. It was, however, a slow start for the Commission, as Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi laid the foundation for his evidence before the Commission that was triggered by a press briefing he held that he says was an attempt to illustrate the threat to the criminal justice system.
I want to demonstrate that the criminal justice system has been subject to a continuous threat, as well as sabotage, which has been with us over an extended period, to a point where we believe it is at real risk of a total collapse if nothing is done.
Mkhwanazi began teasing the allegations of infiltration by organized crime syndicates and SAPs by starting with the murder of a Vereeniging engineer, Armand Swart, in which a former detective, Michael Puletau, is implicated. One of a series of murders that Mkhwanazi charges is linked to a common theme, the awarding of tenders.
There is a high level of connection between the accused or the suspects and senior officials within the police at the head office in the main within detective environment.
Mkhwanazi has testified that the success rate of the team in securing arrests of persons he identifies as persons linked to an alleged organized crime syndicate led to the disbandment of the political killings task team by now suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, who described the team as one which, quote-unquote, adds no value to policing.
It is my belief that perhaps, as I had said in the public in the very same month of January, that someone influenced the minister to do this.
The hearings continue. Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Pretoria.
Meanwhile, Umkhonto weSizwe Party Gauteng spokesperson Abel Tau says the Commission only seeks to whitewash Mkhwanazi's allegations and to protect those implicated from facing the law. Tau further reiterates that the 147 million rand spent on the Commission is unnecessary. The MKP has launched an urgent application at the High Court in Pretoria to interdict the Commission.
Of activity outside the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in the Pretoria CBD. This as law enforcement and traffic authorities were clearing the Johannes Ramokwase Street of traffic and ushering in stakeholders of the Madlanga Commission. It was anticipated that the Umkhonto Wesizwe faithful would picket in opposition to the commission, but only a handful managed to come to voice their discontent about it.
We contend that Minister Mkhunu, as implicated, should have been fired. We don't have to spend 147 million to decide whether or not he should be charged. We believe that irrespective of who you are, the Constitution dictates that we are all equal before the law.
Tau also alleged that processes were not properly followed in the appointment of Firoz Kashalia as the acting police commissioner. They filed an urgent court application to halt the Madlanga Commission as they consider it a waste of taxpayers' money. Those outside the Bridget Mabandla Justice College expressed different views about the commission.
It looks as if politicians, when they commit big crimes which are relating to big finances, they are going through commissions. And ordinary citizens within this country, they are going through the magistrate courts and whatsoever. So here we can see two different treatments. Treatments to politicians and treatments to the public, of which this makes us very angry.
It's very important for the public and the country to know and get answers directly from the country's whistleblower, as it may be.
The Pretoria High Court will on Thursday morning deliberate on whether Umkhonto Wesizwe's urgent application to halt the commission has any merit. Offenses Timo, SABC News, Pretoria.
In other related news, the Alexandra Magistrates Court has ruled that businessman Vusimuzi Matlala is a flight risk and will be a danger to the public if he is released on bail. Matlala is facing charges of attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder and money laundering. In October 2023, he allegedly paid hitmen who opened fire on the car of his former partner, Tebogo Thobejane. The court denied him bail.
Matlala will be remanded in custody at the Kgosi Mampuru prison after failing to persuade the Alexandra Magistrates Court to release him on bail. The director of 4 companies allegedly orchestrated the foiled assassination attempt on his former partner, Tebogo Thobejane. The state also centralized 2 other cases against him for 2 separate shooting incidents.
The pattern of allegations across 3 separate incidences, the Thobejane shooting, the Sibanyoni shooting, and the DJ Wetty shooting, suggest a repeated modus operandi involving target violence. Even accepting that the applicant disputes the allegation, the gravity and the consistency of the state's version creates a substantial risk that his release would endanger the safety and the security of the complainants and the wider community.
Matlala's Home Affairs records show that he is still outside South Africa despite being in prison. The state argued that his Eswatini identity card, in which he calls himself Vusimuzi Dlamini, further proves that he would evade trial.
We cannot rule out the possibility that at a later stage we will then go back and investigate why do we have more than 13 cases withdrawn against Kat Matlala. We will go back to ask ourselves why was he not found guilty in some of these cases. I mean, you're talking about a 2006 cash and transit heist that he was found not guilty on.
Thobejane has allegedly been receiving threats to withdraw the attempted murder case. Matlala is expected back in court in October. He will be joined by 4 other accused in the matter, including his wife, Neria Hlakotza, SABC News, Alexandra, Johannesburg.
Welcome back. Let's now take you to the Western Cape, where the government says a taxi organization, Codeta, should focus its time and resources on finding solutions to prevent violence in the taxi industry, rather than approach the courts to stop the closure of certain taxi routes in Cape Town. Codeta said it was considering taking legal action to prevent the closure of several routes. The routes have been shut down from today and will be closed for 30 days.
Commuters in affected areas who usually travel by taxi were forced to catch buses or trains today. The Western Cape Department of Mobility says the closures were necessary to protect lives and bring peace to the taxi industry. The department says taxi organization Codeta should focus on finding solutions to reduce violence in the industry rather than challenging the closures in court.
If they want to approach court, they can approach court. But for me, it's sad. Instead of investing more time in trying to find a solution, you're running to court. It just shows where your priorities lie. Your priorities should be actually about the commuters and the person and the people that actually sustain your livelihood.
COSATU in the Western Cape says the route closures are jeopardizing the livelihoods and well-being of workers in affected areas.
COSATU is calling on the MSC to immediately review this ill-considered decision. We are calling for an urgent meeting of all relevant stakeholders, including COSATU, the taxi industry and labor unions. We need to present a comprehensive plan that addresses the concerns of commuters.
Corbin August, SABC News, Cape Town.
To this now, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa, his COSATU counterpart Zingiswa Lusi and SACP leader Solima Paila have pledged their commitment to the unity of the alliance. They shared the stage at the COSATU 8th Central Committee meeting, which ends in Benoni, east of Johannesburg on Thursday. The Central Committee meeting is a mid-term review of the implementation of the resolutions of the last Congress. But the leaders of the alliance also reflected on the strained relations in the pact.
The ANC Tripartite alliance seems on the brink of collapse. Although still part of the pact, the SACP has vowed to go it alone in the next elections. At the heart of the decision is what it calls the ANC's failure over decades to reconfigure the alliance. While there is no turning back for the SACP, alliance leaders are working flat out to avoid a possible split in the pact.
Comrades, we love the ANC of Oliver Tambo and Nelson Mandela. We love the SACP of Joe Slovo and Chris Hani. We need our alliance partners to resolve their challenges and to engage the Federation on these.
Although the ANC stands accused of refusing to reconfigure the alliance, its president cannot imagine the collapse of the pact.
Now, as president of the ANC, always been clear that breaking this alliance or weakening this alliance is not in the best interest of all of us. And we need to deal with the challenges that we have had, yes, reconfiguration, the challenges we have had of how people and the alliance partners are respected.
The last alliance summit was in 2015, 10 years ago. So, Comrade Makura asked the president, where does he take the mandate from if he can't take the mandate from his allies? If we can't meet for 10 years? We have raised these questions in the bilaterals. They are meaningless, but we must say we appreciate the commitment from the president to the alliance.
The gathering will end on Thursday, with the hope that the ANC and the SACP will find each other in their next bilateral meeting. Ntebu Mukobo for SABC News in Johannesburg.
Accused number one in the Palapala theft trial purchased a lavish vehicle the day after the break-in and theft. This is according to a state witness who told the court that he was paid thousands of rands in US dollars for transporting accused number one and two other men from Palapala to a car dealership in Johannesburg, where they bought a vehicle.
The second day of the Palapala theft trial had the testimony of two state witnesses. The court earlier ordered that the media should not identify state witnesses. A housekeeper at the farm testified that she had never personally worked with accused number two, Floriana Joseph, who was a temporary worker at the farm at the time of the theft. A second witness told the court that he transported Emanuela David from Bilabila to Johannesburg a day day after the robbery. The witness testified that he was paid 7,000 rand in cash. The state, however, applied for court to declare him a witness who had recanted his original statement. The prosecutor read out the witness' original statement as part of the application.
Now that they had transport, that is after the purchase of the blue VW Golf 7, now that they had transport, they said that I could go home and they will drive further with this car. They had transport, they said that I could go home and they will drive further with this car. I heard the three talking their language, and then the one that stayed behind in my car took out cash from his side bag, and at this point I noticed that it was 3 packs of US dollars.
The witness, however, maintained he had made his initial statement under duress after being threatened several times by people who identified themselves as police.
I would say that I agree, and on the other hand, say that I dispute what you are saying, because when the statement was made, I was afraid.
The trial is set to resume on the 1st of October. Beman Baloi, SABC News, Modimolle.
Thank you for staying with us. We now take you to Limpopo, where the investigation of corruption allegations against the Polokwane municipality has intensified. The Hawks have searched and seized documents from the municipal offices. There have been allegations by some concerned residents and political parties levied against Executive Mayor John Mpe and Municipal Manager Thuso Nemukumoni. The duo have allegedly benefit from millions of rands in the awarding of tenders at the municipality.
The Hawks in Limpopo have enforced a recent order granted by the High Court in Polokwane to seek documents from the office of the municipal manager, Thuso Nemukumoni. This forms part of ongoing investigations into allegations of corruption. A team from the investigative unit has engaged with officials from the municipality, including their legal representatives.
Those documents have been made available for them, because as a municipality we've always emphasized that whenever there are issues, we are cooperating with law enforcement agencies.
Opposition political parties are closely monitoring the latest developments.
We welcome any investigation, and we hope that there will be full cooperation with the Hawks. At this stage, the information is very faint at the moment. I had heard word on social media that the Hawks is currently at the municipality, so I quickly rushed to the municipality.
One would like us to give the Hawks their time so that they can be able to be accorded an opportunity to do their work, and the municipality comply with the laws of this country and cooperate and give relevant documents which will be able to assist us.
The Hawks haven't revealed the nature of the seized documents. Katlego Nyoni, SABC News, Polokwane.
Coca-Cola Beverages South Africa is currently undergoing a restructuring process that could see over 680 job cuts. According to a document seen by the SABC News, the company cites financial constraints as a primary reason for this decision and has committed to supporting affected employees with generous separation packages. As part of the plan, the beverages giant intends to close its plants in both Bloemfontein and the East London.
Receiving a notice of intention from Coca-Cola Beverages South Africa to retrench over 600 workers. The union's Deputy General Secretary Edwin Mabuwa says the notice was coupled with an application to the CCMA for the facilitation of Section 189 process. He says FAO is disappointed with how the company is handling the retrenchments.
Before we can even have our first meeting with the CCMA, the company is going behind our backs and consulting with the employees individually or otherwise, to an extent that they are telling you that the first phase is completed and the second phase. According to the union, there's no first and second phase. The company served us with a notice which was coupled with patient to the CCMA for the facilitation of the process, which is commencing on the 19th of September, 2025, this Friday.
According to documents seen by SABC News, the company is proposing to offer voluntary severance packages to affected employees, saying it is an alternative to forced separation. The majority of those affected are cleaners, which the company says is not its core business. Both the union and the company will be meeting on Friday with the CCMA on the way forward. SABC News has reached out to Coca-Cola Beverages South Africa, and the company had not responded at the time of broadcast. Diabosito, SABC News, Johannesburg.
We now give the reins to the weather desk to find out what the weather has in store for us. Stay tuned.
Thank you very much, and a very warm welcome to the weather desk. It was a fine day in most areas of South Africa today, as you can see according to our latest satellite images, which are some partly cloudy skies along the east coast, and there is also a slight chance of rainfall in KwaZulu-Natal and even spreading to the Highveld region of the Mpumalanga province. There is also a level 2 warning of damaging waves along the south and east coast of the country as a result of a passing cold front that is resulting in very windy conditions in the Western Cape, the Eastern Cape, and even the coastal areas of KwaZulu-Natal. And for tomorrow, we can still expect a similar weather pattern with morning rainfall in the wild coast of the Eastern Cape, throughout the coastal areas of KwaZulu-Natal and the escarpment of Mpumalanga. Some fog patches can be expected as well over the eastern, south and western escarpment of the country, and expecting poor visibilities on the roads in the early hours of the morning, but clearing as the day progresses. Otherwise, clear weather conditions will persist over the central interior. There is a warning of runaway fires, though, over the northwest and some areas in the central Free State for tomorrow afternoon. And temperatures are very cold in some areas of the country overnight. In Sutherland, we are expecting -4, a minimum of 1 for Calvinia, an average of 3 degrees over the interior of the Eastern Cape, mild weather conditions all over the Midlands of KwaZulu-Natal, but pleasant along the coast at Tegwini at 17 and 15 degrees over Richards Bay. Johannesburg is also very mild at 10 degrees, a minimum of 9 for Pretoria. Very cold conditions for Emelo in the Highveld of the Mpumalanga province at 2, a minimum of 14 for Palapala, and a minimum of 13 degrees as well over Palapala in the Western Bushveld. We are expecting another very warm day throughout Limpopo, a temperature of 31 for Musina and 27 degrees over Bombela in the Lowveld of the Mpumalanga province, and very warm weather conditions in the northern interior and along the coast of KwaZulu-Natal, but mild in the south at Tegwini at 24, even milder conditions along the south coast of the country. An average of 20 degrees can be expected over Gqeberha for tomorrow afternoon. And that is all from the weather desk.
That concludes our time together this evening. Much gratitude for joining us. From myself, Paulette Nell. Until next time, for now, it's good night. God bless. Pula.